Hey, what's up? We are back here on the Pig Trail with Otis Kirk, our recruiting insider. Notice big weekend as far as recruiting because 7 official visitors were in, 4 from Arkansas. Let's kind of begin with the grouping of Hudson Henry and Traylon Burks because those two guys rated as the top 2 recruits out of Arkansas.
Yeah, and those are 2 guys that definitely can come in and make an impact at Arkansas. They're both committed, but neither one signed early, but they're going to sign on February the 6th. Hudson is one of 3 tight ends will be on the team next year. Traylon will come in as one of the 4 wide receivers in this class. And yeah, they're both, like I said, that's to me is 2 of the better players to ever come out of Arkansas in the same year. Mm-hmm. Those are guys that are national recruits. Right. You know, I mean, to me, they right up there with anyone in the country. And yeah, I mean, hey, Hudson can, you know, everybody wants to compare him to Hunter, right. But, you know, I mean, this is a guy, Hunter, that's played in the NFL. He won the Mackey Award.
Big shoes to fill, yeah.
Yeah, it's big shoes to fill. Let's just let Hudson be himself because it's going to take care of itself. If he stays healthy, he's got a chance to accomplish the same things that Hunter did. Right. I'm not downplaying his talent. He's got a chance to accomplish all that. And then Traylon is just a kid that, you know, he's rehabbing from that knee injury. But once he comes back and gets fully healthy, I still think he's going to be the best receiver in this class. And I think I'm high on all 4 of those kids, but I just think Traylon can come in, give them a big target, fast, and just make an impact. And even though he's not going to be here in the spring, and 2 of the receivers are, you got TQ and Traylon will be here later. And yeah, Burks is just, he's got a lot of speed. He don't mind hitting you too. I mean, he's versatile. I saw him play over at North Little Rock in the season opener. They weren't playing North Little Rock, they were playing over there in the stadium. And he played quarterback, played running back, played receiver, played safety, you know, defensive back, linebacker. I mean, he can play anywhere on the field. And of course, he's going to be a receiver here. But what I mean, he's versatile, and he doesn't mind delivering a lick because he did on defense. And so at receiver, he'll get down there. You know, you play for Bo down at Warren, you block, you learn to block. That's one thing those kids do. They learn to block. They're fundamentally sound, and Burke certainly fits that description.
Let's talk about in the trenches, and we can go one by one here, but let's start with Marcus Miller because on the D-line, we've seen the number of D-linemen that Arkansas has brought in, but, you know, it's nice to see the competition that's brewing at that spot for Arkansas, and Miller's a special guy.
Yeah, he is. About 6'5", 310, chose Arkansas over Missouri, Tennessee, and a few schools like that. He's a kid that rehabbed from an injury himself, you know, from his junior season, and talked about, you know, Traylon, just work hard, stick with the plan, and everything will work out. It did for him. He's another kid that played both ways for Warren, but made his living on defense. That's what Arkansas signed him to play. He's a big defensive tackle. He's not, you know, Arkansas is one thing they wanted to do in this class was get taller on the line, you know, get taller, and he's certainly at 6'5". He fits that description. He's got a great future ahead of him. He's you know, he's a kid that going into the season, or going into recruiting last year about this time, talking about the 2019 class, a lot of people didn't even know about Marcus. It wasn't like everybody knew about Traylon Burks, but not everybody knew about Marcus Miller. But seeing Traylon, they got, who's that lineman, you know? And like I said, too, he was hurt, too, so, you know, as a junior. But, yeah, he plays basketball, very athletic for a kid, as you would expect, defensive lineman at that size. Pretty good basketball player. Right. So, I mean, he's got a future here.
Ricky Stromberg on the O-line, how quickly could he help Arkansas?
Well, asked him that this morning, and he said he hadn't really talked to Dustin Fry about that, but I think he can do it pretty quick because he's very solid fundamentally. Those kids that come out of Tulsa Union, that's a good school. And, you know, he's about 6'4", 280 pounds, got that late offer to Arkansas. And that's impressive to me in the fact that a kid gets offered late like that. He doesn't say, well, you know, they didn't want me and now they're coming back. No, I mean, he jumped right on it. and that's impressive. It shows you he's not scared, he's not afraid. He put his ego aside. He's not afraid to come in here and compete for playing time, you know, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to play center at Arkansas. I think he can play pretty early. You just hope that he doesn't have to play before he's ready. And what I mean by that is, you know, in the past they've thrown some offensive linemen there, not this staff, but just through the years, not just any particular staff, but all staff have thrown some kids on the offensive line that maybe weren't ready and could have used a red shirt year. You think of Ty Clary, maybe he could have, you know, what about if he could have used a red shirt year? So, I mean, you just hope that if Ricky plays, it's because he's ready, and I think he's got a chance to make a very early impact, though.
Preferred walk-ons that were here. Speaking with John David White, wide receiver, looks good on tape from Pulaski Academy. This guy can make some things happen.
I saw him play live twice this year, Drew. Actually, it was his first game and his last game. He has got the speed. It's going to come down to UCA or Arkansas. When you think of John David White, if you haven't seen play, think of Drew Morgan.
Nice.
That's what you think of there, and that's his idol is Drew Morgan. Grant was his host this weekend, Grant Morgan. John, to me, it's going to come down to Arkansas or UCA. Now, he is going to visit Oklahoma State. He is going to visit Oklahoma State, and that's a preferred walk-on deal too. But I don't think that he's going to go to Oklahoma State. I think it's going to come down if he takes the scholarship, he's going to go to UCA. If he doesn't, I'm pretty sure he's going to come here to Arkansas. And my gut tells me that I think he'll be a Razorback, but he has told me he really wants to go where he gets that scholarship. So we're just going to see. But I know his dream has always been to play for the Razorbacks. His best friend is coming to Arkansas, Hudson Henry. But he can play. And he's a kid that, if he does come to Arkansas, I'm willing to bet within 2 years he's on scholarship. At least, at the longest, it'll be 2 years. And that's when they can put someone on scholarship, and they only count against the 85. But it wouldn't surprise me if he got one sooner. I mean, he can play. Okay.
You can talk about the makeup here all day about John David White, but if you build something around Finnegan Corwin as a wideout, what are you looking for?
Well, you know, this kid's got to be a competitor. He's one of 10 kids in his family. Can you imagine that? He's one of 10. He's got 9 brothers and sisters, ages, I want to say 10 to 24 maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's, so you know, he probably had to fight for his toys, you know. I mean, just a little bit. Yeah, he's a competitor. So I mean, no, he's a lot like John David. I mean, very versatile and did a lot of the things for Highland Park that John David did for PA. Right. And you know, I mean, he's a kid that OU, Arkansas, SMU, Oklahoma State are all recruiting as a preferred walk-on. He's going to. I don't think he's going to visit Oklahoma State, but he is going to visit OU and SMU in coming days. And so I think that'll come down to his decision. It'll be one of those 3 schools. But he's got a good relationship, obviously, with John Stephen Jones, with Chandler Morris, with Chad Morris. So we'll see how it turns out. But he had a good visit.
Back to the defensive side of football, Hudson Clark, what do you think?
His parents went to Arkansas. You know, he's got a lot of Razorback in him. It looks like it's going to be Arkansas or SMU for him. And he's a kid that handled the kicking duties, some of the kicking duties for the Scots, not all of it. But he's one that is not 100% decided on playing football. If he's just a student, he might go to Texas. But he's pretty sure he's going to play football. And so it looks like Arkansas and SMU will be the hunt there. But with his parents' ties to Arkansas, he said they were super excited that he came up and got to take the visit to Arkansas. I look for the Arkansas to land him as a preferred walk-on.
I noticed there was a kicker in from Oklahoma. Tell me about him.
Yeah, Noah Rauschenberg. He came in. He's going to make a decision probably the week of signing day. I just talked to him Friday, I believe it was. Talked to him this week, and he told me he's probably going to announce something on the week of signing day or right up to it. But Arkansas has offered him a preferred walk-on, and he's got a strong leg, mostly a kicker. He's willing to, you know, do a little bit more at punting if he can help him there. I mean, he's willing to do it, but he really made his name as a kicker over at Tulsa Union. He got a super strong leg, and right now, Arkansas is probably, unless somebody comes in and throws a big offer at him, scholarship, he's probably going to come to Arkansas. If it's a preferred walk-on deal, probably going to be at Arkansas. He's got a chance too. Think about this. He can come in, maybe, come in, if he had to redshirt a year or kick off or something, then Connor Limpert will be a senior. So there's going to be an opportunity there. And, he can get established at Arkansas and then possibly be a replacement for Connor Limpert. He and Chris Elser, the kid that walked on from Little Rock Catholic, it's over there right now. That gives them 2 chances. If they get Noah, that would give them 2 kids that could possibly be Limpert's replacement, and you don't have to go out next year and find someone. You've got someone on campus. It's been through the practices and the reps and stuff.
Talk about this upcoming weekend. He's got Chris Russell coming in, linebacker. Thoughts on him and maybe how he could fit in the mix as far as linebackers for Arkansas?
Well, I think honestly they'd love to take Chris Russell and Lakia Henry to go with the kid they signed early. But I don't know if they can get Russell because he really likes Tennessee. He is going to take a visit here next weekend, but he is going to visit Tennessee the following weekend, and that's a little bit of a red flag if you're Arkansas. But hey, this staff has done a good job. Who would have ever thought they'd get the kids they've gotten off of a 2-10 season? So one thing I've learned is not count Chad Morris and this staff out. And I do know that John Chavis. I will say this on Chris Russell: Arkansas was his first SEC offer. They offered before anyone else in the SEC did. He was committed to Memphis. John Chavis loved him. If you remember during the open week, John Chavis talked to us about getting home at like 3 a.m. on that Saturday morning. His wife was gone, so he got up and cooked him a meal or something. I remember that. I remember John talking about that. Well, that's who he went to see that Friday night was Russell. So, yeah, big-time player. Yeah. He would start out a 2-star. Was committed to Memphis, be decommitted, but then Arkansas, Auburn, Tennessee, A&M, Texas A&M, everybody came in and offered the kid, and he's just a big-time player. If Arkansas could get him, he'd have wherever he goes, whether it's Arkansas or Tennessee, and I think that's going to be the 2 it comes down to. He's probably going to play as a true freshman. He's that good. Reminds me a lot of Dejon Harris.
That's saying something.
Yeah, that's what he reminds me of is Scooter Harris, and he might be a tad faster than Scooter. I don't know, but he's right there. But that's who, when I watch him on film, I think of Scooter Harris. So, that's about as good a compliment as you can give a linebacker right now, yeah.
Okay, Jalen Catalon, he has committed to the Razorbacks, and this is great. You get the trio from Mansfield Legacy with Enoch Jackson, Torian Carter. Catalon, a safety, one of the premier safeties in the nation. Also a guy who can play baseball at Arkansas, we'll see, but much in terms of the package they're getting Catalon. Yeah,
Mark Smith knocked it out of the ballpark down there at Mansfield Legacy. The guy went in there and probably, in all honesty, if he could have gotten one of those 3 kids, everybody would have been happy. But he goes in there and he gets Jackson, then he gets Carter. I believe that was the order. Yeah, I believe Jackson came first, and then he gets Catalon, and then all 3 visited for the Alabama game. And Catalon he had legit offers to OU, Texas, and TCU. Took official visits to all 4 schools, counting Arkansas. And he's a kid that comes up at safety. You know he's hit you when he hits you.
I've seen on tape. Yeah,
he doesn't tiptoe around at safety. Now he only played 1 game as a senior. He played against Jinx and Brady Latham. Got hurt in that game, had surgery, and didn't get to play again. But you look at his junior year, I went back Friday while I was waiting on him to go public with that, and I looked at his stats and his film and stuff from from his junior season, I'm sorry. Sure. And it was just unbelievable that he played both ways. And yet he didn't save his energy to play quarterback, or he ran the ball, passed it, and everything. When he was a safety, he knocked people out, So he wasn't one of those kids that paced himself. Maybe he did, but his pacing is more than a lot of people bring. He brought his A game. When he came up and hit you, you knew you'd been hit. And that's from a kid who plays both ways. And that's unusual for him to have that kind of energy playing both. The kid I saw do that one time that really played like that, you couldn't tell he was Darren McFadden. And I'm not saying Jalen is as good as Darren McFadden, but I'm just saying that's a kid that I saw play both ways that really just did a little bit of everything for his team, and you could never tell he was taking plays off. That reminds me of Jalen, too. I'll say this for those kids from Legacy. They don't take plays off. We've talked about Jackson, how, he may get blocked, but he'll go make a play 5-6 yards down the field. He doesn't quit. And if you get 3 kids on defense that's got motors like those kids do, That's all you can have. I mean, that gives you a 100% chance right there of being successful, because the motor, if you don't have a motor on defense, I don't care if you're 6'7", 320 pounds, run a 4.5, and got 10 stars. If you don't have a motor on defense, you're not going to be successful.
That's a lot to be excited about up front and also on the back end if you're talking about the Mansfield Legacy trio. Finally, let's talk about Prospect Day coming up on Saturday. What should we look for there?
Well, it'll be 2020, 2021, and 2022. It'll be their first Prospect Day of this. This staff doesn't mess around. They're not waiting until after signing day. They're trying to get a head start on it. That's what they did last year, if you remember. They came in. It was a little bit different last year in the fact that they were just trying to put together a class. But the one thing they've got this year with 29 commitments, they're able to start looking ahead a little bit, which is the big thing that Chad Morris and them recognize with the early signing period. If you're a new head coach and you're just coming into situations, it's terrible. But if you're established like he was, you can knock out 22 kids early, it makes it a lot easier on the back, and you can start your future recruiting, and that's what they're doing this weekend. They'll have kids in. I think registration starts about noon, and then it'll end about 4:15. And there'll be kids from all over the. I know there's going to be a kicker from Tennessee coming in. It's going to be, I don't know who all's coming in. Yeah, I'll start getting names on that, but it's a chance. The kids pay their own way. They see Arkansas. They meet the coaches. They get to see the facilities, and they get to see Fayetteville, and it's a great deal. It's a chance to make early impressions, and you never know. Sometimes that first impression or early impression, you don't ever know. That can be a lasting impression on these kids.
All right, great work as always from Otis Kirk, working nonstop on Hogville, our recruiting insider. Back with more after this.